It started like a dream. The sky over Earth glowed with strange blue light. People stood on rooftops and fields, staring up in wonder. Some thought it was the aurora. Some thought it was a comet. But it was neither. It was an invasion. Within minutes, the blue shimmer split open, revealing massive objects moving in silence. Black ships, shaped like knives, slipped through space like ghosts. No warning. No sound. Just one broadcast heard in every language across every screen. You belong to us now. They were called the VAs KARI. To the rest of the galaxy. They were gods of war ruling thousands of species, burning planets that resisted. But to Earth, they were strangers, unknown, unseen. Until now, in less than 10 hours, they took the skies. Satellites were disabled. Earth's orbital stations were crushed. The moon bases gone. Earth's defenses, everything we built, were wiped out like dust. The Voskari didn't send diplomats. They didn't ask for surrender. They simply arrived and conquered. In New York, cities vanished under beams of white-hot plasma. In Tokyo, mechs rose from underground but were shredded before they could fire. In Cairo, a final message was, if sent from a military base, we were wrong. They don't want peace. They want obedience. Then silence. By nightfall, over 2 billion people were dead or missing. The Voskari dropped command towers in every continent, huge black obelisks that hummed with dark energy. Troops 8-foot-tall armored beings marched through ruins, scanning survivors. Any who resisted disappeared. They called Earth a test planet. They mocked humanity's old wars, called us primitive flamekeepers, called our weapons toys of fire. They told the galaxy Earth will kneel in less than one rotation. But far beneath the ice of Antarctica, under layers of ancient defense locks, something stirred. Inside a mountain buried in frost, a door opened with a heavy hiss. Lights flickered on in a tunnel, untouched for 300 years. Old screens glowed. Metal panels slid apart. Inside the command center, dust-covered consoles lit up one by one. A voice crackled through a speaker. Synthetic, cold, primary directive recheck. Earth under assault. Hostile species confirmed. Voskari decryption key validated. Then, silence. Until a figure stepped out of the shadows. They wore black armor, outdated by today's standards, but still powerful. The helmet lit with a blue visor. Their voice was deep, calm, and unshaken. Protocol Rebellion is live. That figure's name was Commander Kale Ren. He wasn't supposed to be awake. He had been cryo-frozen to centuries. Hagoa, former commander of Earth's last true military fleet, the Iron Flame Division. Kale had fought in the last war against the Arcani Swarm, but after the peace treaties, Earth disbanded its fleets, its armies, its eyes. They believed war was over forever, so Earth buried its weapons and went soft. Until now, Commander Kale looked over the control room. Faded flags of Earth's nations still hung on the walls. Old maps, outdated weapon specs, and long-dead communication networks surrounded him. He walked to the command terminal and placed his hand on the scanner. It hesitated, then accepted his DNA. A screen appeared. Terran Rebellion network offline, awaiting leadership authority. He entered the final code passed to him before cryosleep. FURY-13 Vengeance. F bunker rumbled, deep below. Old machines woke up. Storage units hissed open, revealing sealed mechs, EMP launchers, and plasma weapons designed, not for defense, but for guerrilla war status. Kale asked. A second voice responded. Female.com/digital AI system siren online. All defense drones functional. Rebel network currently non-existent. Earth resistance scattered, unorganized, leaderless. Kale narrowed his eyes. Then let's give them a reason to fight. Outside, the Voskari weren't finished. The dreadnoughts hovered over Earth's largest cities, broadcasting a repeating message. You will be taught your place. Accept your gods, accept order. People hid in caves, sewers, bunkers. Small groups tried to fight, but they were no match, until they started hearing rumors. Whispers. A ship spotted rising from Antarctica. A Voskari dropship shot down over Africa, a signal bouncing off ancient Earth satellites, saying, Protocol Rebellion is active. No one knew what it meant, but across Earth, small fires of hope started to glow. Kale and Siren activated the first Old Earth relay station. They broadcast one message, short, simple, powerful. This is Earth's command. If you can hear this, the fight is not over. Get ready. It reached only a few thousand survivors, but that was enough, because even a spark can start a wildfire. Back on the Voskari flagship, General Tavkar stood before the Empire's high console. He wore gold armor, his face hidden behind a curved obsidian mask. His voice, proud and cold, boomed across the chamber. Earth will not resist. They have no fleets, no gods, no will. But then a warning flashed on his screen. Unauthorized human transmission detected. Source, classified Terran Vault. Message, Protocol, Rebellion is live. Tavka froze. That phrase, he had heard it once long ago, from a dying enemy. A human soldier who stared at him with bleeding eyes and said, even if we fall, you'll never forget us. The skies were still dark. Voskari dreadnoughts hovered like silent gods above the ruins of Earth's cities. Their command towers pulsed with blue light. controlling both the planet's gravity and communication systems. But beneath the surface, something was moving. Something human. In the remains of old Chicago, deep inside the city's forgotten subway tunnels, a group of survivors gathered around a broken terminal. The flickering lights barely lit their faces, but their eyes were clear, tired, scared, and angry. A woman stepped forward. Her name was Ray Darnell, a former satellite technician turned freedom fighter. Her once bright orange uniform was now a patchwork of armor and scars. She looked at the others: engineers, ex-soldiers, farmers, and even teenagers. None of them had ever fought aliens before. Most had never held a weapon, but that didn't matter because they had just received the message: "This is Earth Command. If you can hear this, the fight is not over. Get ready." Ray turned to the group. "There's someone out there, someone who remembers how to fight. That means we're not alone. And if we're not alone, then we can win." Across the world, similar scenes unfolded. In the frozen ruins of Moscow, a doctor-turned-sniper took position in an old museum tower in Brazil. Old street gangs now called themselves the Ash Sons and hunted alien patrols in Nigeria. Ex-miners rebuilt ancient drilling mechs into war machines. It was messy, untrained, desperate, but it was resistance, and the Vascari were not ready for it. Back at the Antarctic bunker, Commander Cale Wren studied old maps. The AI siren stood beside him, her holographic form glowing faintly in the cold room. The message reached approximately 14,200 civilians, Siren reported. "We've detected 57 organized cells forming worldwide. Most are unarmed." Cale nodded. "Then we'll give them teeth." He walked toward the old vaults, where ancient weapons had been sealed. Old pulse rifles, shield generators, cyber darts, even EMP grenades, primitive by galactic standards, but deadly in the right hands. Siren watched silently as Cale opened crates to 7B inside. Mantis 9 stealth armor used by Earth's last elite infiltration unit. "I'll deliver these myself," Cale said. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Voskari General Tavka noticed something strange. Reports were coming in from several cities. Patrols disappearing. Towers going offline. Supply lines ambushed, and, the strangest of all, no captured bodies. "Earthlings are not acting like cattle," Tavka growled. "They're hiding, they're learning, they're adapting." He summoned the High Ascendant to request permission to initiate full planetary purge, but the reply was cold. "Not yet. Let them resist. Let them rise, so we may crush their hope fully." Back in Chicago, Ray's group prepared for their first strike. Their target, a supply convoy heading toward the local Voskari command tower. It carried food, weapons, and most importantly power cores used to stabilize the towers. Without those cores, the towers would fail. Without the towers, the Voskari-controlled grid would collapse. They had 1 EMP drone and 5 rifles. That was it. REI gave the signal. The group moved through old sewer lines, climbed into a cracked building, and took position. Above them, the alien convoy floated. Slowly, 6 tall-legged hover vehicles guarded by armored troops with glowing HALBERDS. REI checked her wristband. The EMP drone was ready. "On my mark, 3, 2, 1, flash. The EMP exploded. Mid-air. The lead hover vehicle dropped to the ground in a crash of sparks and flames. The Voskari guards instantly turned, their weapons charging, but Ray's team had already moved. From rooftops and shadows, they opened fire targeting joints and power nodes. Voskari screamed in shock. They weren't used to being ambushed. Not by humans. In less than 3 minutes, the fight was over. 3 rebels were injured, 2 dead, but the convoy was theirs. Ray limped forward, clutching her bleeding arm. Inside one of the hovercrafts, they found something unexpected: a genetic containment case filled with Voskari clone cells, the kind used to produce slave soldiers, and hidden inside a small silver cube glowing with heat. Siren, watching through a satellite feed, confirmed it instantly. "You've found a quantum seed. We can use it to unlock their tech." Ray smiled through the pain. "Then let's learn their secrets." News of the convoy raid spread fast. In the wastelands of Australia, tribes lit signal fires in honor in space. Even a few captured humans in orbit received the update. They banged on their prison walls, shouting, "Earth fights back." Inside the Voskari fleet, panic grew. One by one, command towers The ice of Europa was quiet, miles below its frozen crust. Lights glowed in strange patterns, red and blue pulses flowing like veins through the walls. This was not a human base. It was Voskari built, deep and cold, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy. Here, the Voskari were doing something no one expected. Not mining, not building, but cloning. Inside sealed tanks floated bodysome Voskari, others not. Commander Cale Wren watched from the corner of the frozen chamber, hidden in Mantis 9 stealth armor. His visor fed him a stream of data: heartbeat readings, air quality, and strange signals coming from the core of the facility. Siren, Cale whispered, "This base isn't just a military lab, it's a factory." The AI's voice crackled. In his ear, confirmed, "These subjects are part human." Cale's jaw tightened. "They've been cloning us." He moved deeper into the base, his silent boots leaving no prints on the polished black floors. 2 rebels followed Ray Darnell, the Chicago leader, and Ty Barron, a tech expert from Brazil. They all wore stealth suits. They had only one goal: steal data, and if possible, shut the base down. What they found instead changed everything. In the main chamber, Kale stood before a wall-sized tank. Inside floated a being almost 7 feet tall, human in shape but with glowing veins, hardened bones, and eyes like molten silver. The tag read, Subject 07, Terran Prime Template. Syrian spoke again. These are not clones, these are upgrades. Kale blinked. Explain. The Vis are using human DNA to create better soldiers, stronger, faster, resistant to mental control. That's impossible, Ray said, stepping closer. Why us? Because humans, Siren replied, are the only species in the galaxy whose minds resist Vaskari influence. Kale stared at the silver-eyed being. They invaded Earth not because we were weak, but because we were the only threat they couldn't control. Meanwhile, alarms started to flash red. The infiltration hadn't gone unnoticed. Kale turned. Time to leave. Ty, grab the core files. Ray, cover our rear. They rushed down the corridor, dodging flashing security beams. Automated turrets hissed to life, but EMP darts from Kale's wrist launcher knocked him out. Ray fired her rifle at a squad of armored Voskari rushing from the east wing. Their weapons hissed with plasma, but her shots hit center mass, dropping 2 of them. Ty pulled a glowing cube from the server wall. I've got it. Let's move. They reached the extraction point just as the ice ceiling above cracked open. A Terran stealth shuttle, painted black with no markings, hovered overhead. As they climbed aboard, the base exploded below them, set to overload by Siren's remote hack from orbit. It looked like a geyser of light bursting from Europa's crust, but for Earth, it was a signal. Back at the Antarctic bunker, Kale inserted the core cube into the mainframe. Data scrolled across every screen: images, gene maps, battlefield logs, and something unexpected: a decrypted Vaskari document dated 20,000 years ago. Its title, Genesis Pattern, The Human Threat, SIREN translated. It says humans were originally designed as a defense race by the first species, a failsafe against mind control, tyranny, and empire. That's why we resist them, Ray whispered. We were built for this. Kale stood still for a long moment. Then he turned to the team. The Vaskari didn't just attack Earth for territory. They feared what we are, and what we could become. Up in space, General Tavka watched the Europa base go dark. He slammed his fist against the command panel. They've stolen it, he growled. The truth is out. A junior officer hesitated. Sir, what if they tell the others? Then the whole galaxy will burn. That night, rebel radios across the globe repeated a new message. Humanity was never weak. We were the shield, the key. The rebellion begins now. In slums, bunkers, forests, and tunnels, people cheered. Former slaves of the Voscarino and human species scattered across the stars listened. Many began to whisper, Earth is rising, but not everyone celebrated. Inside a dark Vaskari temple on a far-off world, a figure sat silently. She wore a cloak stitched with Terran skin. She watched the Earth rebellion grow and smiled, because she had a secret, something even Kale didn't know. If Earth is the key, she said, then I will become the lock. The flames of Europa still burned in the data cores of the Vaskari. The loss was not just military, it was symbolic, that for the first time a human team had infiltrated, extracted, and destroyed one of their sacred biofactories. The galaxy was watching, and more importantly, so were their slaves. The rebellion was no longer just a rumor, it was spreading. On the edge of Saturn's orbit, the Terran Warsaw Vengeance hovered in stealth mode. Its hull was black, angular, and silent. No lights, no radio signals, just a cold presence in space, like death watching from a distance inside. Commander Kale Wren reviewed the data stolen from Europa. The files revealed another key: Operation Project Seedfire, located deep within the methane storms of Titan. It wasn't a fortress. It wasn't a shipyard. It was something worse. They've been growing hybrids, Kale said quietly, half human, half Oscary, bred for war. Ray Darnell stood beside him. Her face was pale. They're creating monsters, Kale said. They're trying to create something that can control us. The mission was simple: land on Titan, find the Seedfire facility, and destroy it. But Kale felt uneasy, not just because of the mission, because of the name listed in the data logs. Subject Zeta-1, active commander, former human confirmed lineage. Wren. Kale's heart sank. His sister Ari Wren had been listed dead during the Vaskari invasion of Earth, but according to the logs, she was alive and leading the enemy. The shuttle dropped through Titan storms, lightning crashing against the hull. They landed near a deep crater where black towers rose from the ice like jagged teeth. The facility wasn't guarded by soldiers, but by something new. Tall humanoid shapes, silver skin, Terran faces, but their eyes glowed blue. Not human. Kale led the infiltration team Ray Tybaran and 2 new fighters from the African resistance. Lena and Ebo, the rebels moved quickly through the outer tunnels, disabling sensors and traps. Inside, they found something horrifying. Rows of cloned children in sleep tanks, ages ranging from 5 to 16. Some looked completely human, others twisted. One tank shattered. The child inside screamed, then leaped at Ebo, eyes glowing with light, hands crackling with energy. They had to put him down. Ebo shook, whispering that wasn't a child. That was a weapon. Deeper inside, they reached the command room, and there standing tall in silver armor was Ari Ren. Her face was calm, her eyes were human, but something in her expression felt empty. "Kale," she said, "it's been a long time." Kale's voice was tight. "You died on the 3rd day of the invasion." "No," she said, "I was chosen." She stepped forward. "The Viscari offered me purpose, not slavery. Not pain, power, control, unity, and now I lead their strongest army." Ray raised her weapon. "You betrayed your people," Ari smiled. "You don't understand. I'm not a traitor. I'm the next step." Before Kale could respond, alarms screamed. Dozens of hybrid soldiers rushed in faster, stronger, unafraid of pain. The battle inside Titan's base became chaos. Smoke, plasma bolts, screams. Ebo and Lena held the eastern corridor. Ray planted charges near the core. Ty uploaded data into Siren's relay. Kale charged to rebut. She moved within human speed. Their blades clashed, sparks flying in the darkness. "You can't stop what's coming," Ari said. "Humanity is broken. I'm fixing it." "You're not fixing anything," Kale growled. "You're erasing us." He managed to pin her, his blade at her throat, but he hesitated. She still looked like his sister. "You can still choose," he whispered. For a moment her expression flickered. Then she punched him away, disappearing into smoke. The rebels escaped. Just as the charges detonated, the Seedfire facility exploded, sending fire through the ice. The blast reached orbit, lighting the dark side of Saturn like a second sun. But Kale didn't celebrate. He stood on the shuttle ramp, watching the flames rise. "She's still out there," he said. REI nodded. "And she's not alone." Back in the Antarctic bunker, Siren decrypted the stolen data. It revealed a chilling truth. Seedfire was only one of 12 hybrid facilities. 9 are still active. Project codenamed Godskin Protocol. Kale turned to the map. "They're building something. A new species, not human, not Vascari. Something that can survive anything." Ray clenched her fists. "Then we destroyed every last one." Up in space, General Tavka received Ari Ren's report. Seedfire was lost, but we confirmed Subject Zetawin's control remains intact. "Did the humans retrieve the Genesis core?" Tavka asked. "No, Ari. Lead. It's still buried." Tavka narrowed his eyes. "Good. Then the real war begins." But in secret, Ari stared at a stolen cube glowing in her hand. She whispered to herself, "I will lead the new species. Not for them, for me." The Vascari Empire had ruled for 10,000 years. Their word was law. Their fleets were unstoppable. Their enemies were erased. Until now, until Earth. News of Titan's destruction had spread like fire through the stars. For the first time, in memory, one of the Empire's secret projects had fallen, and not to another empire, but to a small rebel group from a dead world. The galaxy had called Earth Week, but now whispers grew louder across alien marketplaces and mining moons. Humans fight, humans bleed, and still stand. Earth is not broken. Earth is rising. In the Voskari throne sector, General Tavka stood before the Council of Ascendants. His armor was scarred, his expression grim. 3 rebel strikes in 2 rotations, loss of Seedfire, disruption on Europa, resistance on Earth spreading beyond containment. The High Ascendant, a towering figure draped in glowing robes, hissed with annoyance. "You promised obedience. Where is it?" Tavka lowered his head. "The humans. They inspire others." Across the chamber, screens lit up images of non-human species protesting on distant worlds, burning black Vascari banners. For the first time, cracks had appeared in the Empire. The Ascendants gave a single order: burn them all. Back on Earth, in the hidden Antarctic command, Commander Kale Ren stared at a holographic map. The red dots of active enemy bases had begun to dim one by one. "Siren, status." The AI responded. "Resistance forces have taken control of 2 more Vascari outposts in South America. Rebel cells are now active on 5 off-world colonies." Kale turned to the Timray, Tai, Ebo, and others from the global resistance. "We've bled, we've burned, but we're still here. And the galaxy is watching." He stepped forward and pointed to a new target blinking on the map, Jordak Station. A floating Voskari trade hub orbiting the twin gas giants of the Draxel system. "They think it's safe. They think we can't leave Earth. Let's prove them wrong." Jordak Station was not a fortress. It was a symbol: wealth, power, and fear. Built from black alloy and covered in gold-plated spires, it served as the Voskari's luxury exchange point, where tribute from conquered worlds was collected. Slaves, who worked its underbelly. Nobles lived in its towers. They never expected a rebel attack. Kale and Ray led the strike. They used an old Terran freighter disguised as a salvage ship to slip past station security. Once inside, they released EMP spiders, small machines that disabled security nodes. Chaos followed. Rebel fighters poured out from hidden compartments. Gunfire, explosions. Panic. REI found herself face to face with a Voskari noble in golden armor. He raised a blade and laughed. "You will kneel like the rest." She fired twice into his helmet. "Not today." While the rebels fought in the halls, Tai hacked into the station's main core. He did more than disable defenses. He accessed the Voskari treasury. And he did something daring. He transferred the entire credit cache, billions in galactic currency, to thousands of resistant cells across the stars. Siren confirmed the hack from Earth. Funds received. Rebel fleets in 3 systems have begun construction. Kale's voice was hard. Then it's time they built more than hope. The battle for Jordax lasted 19 minutes. When it was over, the station was in flames. But the rebels didn't stay. To hold it, they broadcasted a message, then left. "This station is now the property of free species. Earth stands. Join us." That signal was seen by billions. On the slave world of Doratha, miners dropped their tools on the gas harvesters of Xeon Prime. Workers smashed their overseers' weapons. Hope spread like infection. The Voskari called it contamination, but not. Everything was victory. In the shadows of the conflict, Ari Renkal's sister, now leading the hybrid program, watched the rebellion grow with quiet fury. She stood in a private chamber, staring at a newly grown hybrid soldier. This one was stronger, faster, and most important, able to resist human empathy. Ari whispered, "Let them cheer. Let them think they're winning. I am building something no war can stop." Behind her, hundreds of new bodies floated in tanks, some human, some alien, all waiting. Project Godskin was almost ready. Meanwhile, on Earth, Kale reviewed a transmission from a planet called THAROS-4. The message was short: "We were slaves. Not anymore. We want to fight. We want to follow Earth." SIREN spoke. Over 19 alien worlds have sent similar messages. Some offer fighters, others weapons. Kale smiled. The rebellion is no longer human, it's galactic. But deep inside, he felt the weight of what came next. If the Voskari fall, something worse may rise. Far away, in the Voskari inner sanctum, the High Ascendants activated Protocol Dreadfire, a doomsday fleet of 500,000 warships, each one capable of destroying a continent. In a single strike, they would not lose their empire without a final scream. And their first target was Earth. The stars above Earth grew darker. Not from nightfall, but from the Dreadfire fleet. 500,000 warships, planet burners, orbital siege hammers, each one built by the Voskari for one purpose: total destruction. And now they were coming for Earth. In the Antarctic command bunker, alarms echoed across the walls. The map showed the fleet's path, moving fast from the galactic core. 6 days, Siren said. "That's all we have until impact." Commander Kale Ren stared at the data. His jaw was tight. His mind raced. "They're not coming to fight. They're coming to erase us." Around him stood rebel leaders Ray Darnell, Ty Baron, Ebolena, and envoys from allied alien worlds. The room buzzed with energy, nervous voices, shaky plans. 500,000 ships, someone whispered. "Even with our new allies, we're outnumbered 10-1. Kale raised his voice. "Then we don't beat them with numbers. We beat them with what they fear most: chaos." Earth's the plan was bold. Phase 1. Scatter the Dreadfire fleet. Phase 2. Strike key command vessels. Phase 3. Use an ancient Terran weapon hidden deep inside the moon's core. Project Helios. Helios was built during the last solar war, Siren explained. It was shut down before Earth fell, but I've reactivated it. "What is it?" Rhea asked. "A gravitational pulse cannon. One shot can bend space." Meanwhile, the Voskari fleet moved like a storm. Their ships were massive city-sized dreadnoughts, black as oil, humming with power. In the flagship, General Tav stood before his war council. No survivors, no cities. Leave only ash. But deep inside one of the ships, something stirred. Whispers. Slaves from other worlds, humans, insectoids, aquatic species were rising. They'd heard the Earth broadcasts. They'd seen the rebellion. Now they passed secret codes, shared stolen weapons, prepared to turn on their masters from within. On Earth, Siren initiated final protocols. Orbital launch bays activated. Shield drones launched. Civilian bunkers sealed. Kale and Ray took a moment alone on the launch platform. She looked at the stars, her hand resting on the cold steel rail. "We started with nothing," she said. "Now we have hundreds of worlds watching us." Kale nodded. "This isn't just about Earth anymore. This is about freedom everywhere." The first wave arrived on day 6. Hundreds of Voskari ships jumped into Earth's outer orbit, tearing space as they came. The sky turned red. People across the planet watched from bunkers, towers, and valleys. Some cried, some simply stared. But Kale was already moving. From the far side of Mars, Earth's stolen fleet rebuilt warships, stealth cruisers, and captured enemy vessels launched their counterattack. "Now," Kale said, "we hit them hard." Thousands of rebel ships jumped forward, surprising the Voskari's forward line. Explosions lit up the void. In orbit, Ty Baron used a captured Voskari code to send a false command. Ship Delta Prime under mutiny. All vessels redirect for support. Hundreds of Dreadfire ships turned just as rebels planted mines behind them. Boom. 24 dreadnoughts fell in minutes. That's chaos, Kale said with a grin. Then came the signal. Helios was ready. Siren locked the cannon onto the center of the Voskari fleet. Target acquired, she said, awaiting command. Kale gave a single word. Fire. From inside the moon, a golden pulse surged across the stars. It bent space itself, tearing part of the enemy fleet into nothing, like they'd never existed. Even Tavka flinched. What was that? His officers didn't answer. Fear had taken hold. Earth was not supposed to have that power, one whispered. But not all went as planned. From the edge of the fleet, a new signal appeared. Not VA single quotes as KRI, not human. It was Ari Wren. She stood at the helm of a strange vessel, half biotech, half machine. Her army of hybrid warriors stood behind her. You are all fools, she said. This is not about Earth. This is about evolution. She sent a signal to every hybrid on both sides of the battle, and some switched sides. In seconds, the battle grew. Three-sided humans and allies. Voskari forces. Ari's hybrid legion. The chaos was unimaginable. Kale stared at the screen. She's trying to claim the galaxy. She wants to wipe both sides, Ray growled. Start her own empire. But Kale saw something else. One of Ari's ships wasn't attacking, it was shielding Earth. She still remembers, he whispered. Siren confirmed it. That ship is carrying a child, half human, half Voskari, it appears. Ari has a son. Suddenly, Kale understood. Ari didn't want to destroy Earth. She wanted to replace it. We need to find her, Kale said, before she becomes something worse than the Voskari. As Earth's skies turned to fire and ships exploded across the heavens, one thing became clear. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning of a new kind of war, not for survival but for what kind of future would rise from the ashes. The stars burned red above Earth. Wreckage floated across space, broken dreadnoughts, shattered cruisers, drifting bodies in black armor. The great battle was far from over, but Earth had survived the first wave of the Dreadfire fleet. Barely, but now a new storm was rising. Not from the Voskari, not from Earth, but from someone who was once human, and still wore a human face. Ari Wren, once Kale's sister, now leader of the Hybrid Legion. Not fully human, not fully alien, something else. Her ships didn't follow war tactics. They moved like predators, quiet, fast, unpredictable. She had only one message for the galaxy. The old powers must fall. I will build the next. Back in the Antarctic command bunker, Kale stood over a flickering hologram of Ari's face. Her silver eyes stared back without emotion. She's not the same person, Ray whispered. No, Kale replied, but she's still my sister, and I need to stop her or save her. Can you even do that? Ty asked. Kale didn't answer. They tracked Ari's fleet to a drifting moon in the Raxel system far beyond known space. No colonies, no cities, just one massive, ancient structure, an orbital forge older than even Voskari records. Siren had only one note on it, unknown, classified as Precursor Site Gamma. Kale's eyes narrowed. She's not just building an army, she's looking for something. They launched Stealth Team, Zirakel Ray, and 3 elite scouts. Their ship Shadowfall was cloaked and silent, running through the void like a ghost. As they approached the forge, they saw the scale of Ari's work. Hundreds of bioships floated around it, grown, not built. Their hulls pulsed with living tissue. Some resembled creatures, others looked like machines wrapped in skin. Inside the forge, Kale saw it, a massive core of light and steel, and a child standing beside it. Half-human, half-VA Skari. His eyes were silver. They landed quietly on the edge of the station. Siren connected to the forge's old systems. This station was built by the Precursor's ancient beings who created the first intelligent species. Its core is a neural seed, capable of rewriting the DNA of an entire species. Kale clenched his fists. She's going to override humanity. No, Siren said. She's going to replace it. Inside the forge's main chamber, Ari stood before a great living throne, surrounded by her hybrid generals. Her son Zeren watched silently. He was only 10 years old, but his mind was sharper than most machines. He turned to her. Why do they want to stop us, Mother? Because they only understand war, Ari said. But we offer something greater, a perfect race. No pain, no war, just control, like the Voskari wanted. Her face tightened. No, we will do it, right, with empathy, with structure. We will make the chaos end. Kale and his team moved through the tunnels. One by one, the scouts dropped sensors and explosive charges. But Kale didn't plan to blow the forge, not yet. He wanted to talk to her first face to face. They reached the throne room's outer gate. Ray paused him. Are you sure? I have to try. He stepped inside. The hybrids raised their weapons, but Ari lifted a hand, let him through. The two siblings stood face to face for the first time in years. Kale noticed her scars, her armor fused to her skin, the strange glow behind her eyes. You're still in there, he said quietly. No, she replied. What I was is gone. You were brave. You protected people. That's still inside you. She hesitated, then smiled, but not kindly. Do you know why the Voskari feared Earth? Because our chaos breaks their control, but it also breaks us. I offer peace. Peace without choice is just a quiet prison. Behind her, Zarin stepped forward. Are you my uncle? Kale nodded. Yes. And you're not a weapon? You're a child. You deserve more than this. Zarin's eyes flickered. She says, we're building something better. Maybe you are, Kale said. But not this way. Ari stepped between them. Enough. You came here to fight. Let's end it. Kale lowered his weapon. No, I came to save you. For a moment, the chamber went silent. Then the forge lit up, red alarms blaring. Intruders detected. The forge AI screamed. Ray and the scouts had been spotted. Ari raised her hand. Hybrid guards closed in. Kale shouted, Ray now. Explosions rocked the forge. Walls cracked. Fire spilled into the throne room. Kale grabbed Zarin and pulled him away. I'm sorry, Ari, he said, but I won't let you take the galaxy down with you. She reached for her son. Zarin, come back. But the boy hesitated. I don't want to hurt people. That moment broke something in her. As Kale's team escaped to Shadowfall, the forge began to collapse behind them. Siren activated emergency warp. Ari stood at the heart of the burning structure, surrounded by flames. She looked at the sky above and whispered, maybe they're not ready for peace, but someday they will be. Then the station shattered back. On Earth, Kale stood beside Zarin as medics checked him. The boy clutched a small toy. Ray gave him just a simple Terran starship. Is she dead? Ray asked. Kale shook his head slowly. No, she's too strong for that. Then what happens now? Kale looked up at the stars. Now we finish it. The sky above Earth had burned before, but never like this. The final wave of the Dreadfire fleet had arrived. Over 400,000 enemy warships now orbited the planet, forming a ring of metal and death. They didn't come to conquer, they came to end humanity forever. In the Antarctic war bunker, Commander Kale Ren stood before the holomap of Earth's orbit. It was almost solid red. They're not stopping this time, Tai said. No more warnings, no more mercy. Kale nodded. Then neither do we. All across Earth, lights flickered on. Every city, every launch bay, every hidden shipyard. From the deep bunkers of Africa, to the spaceports of Asia, to the hidden lunar cannons, Earth lit up like a burning star. And from the edge of the solar system, something else appeared. Earth's final fleet. They weren't just Terran warships anymore. They were allied vessels, gifted, built, or flown by dozens of species once conquered by the Voskari, from insectoid hives to aquatic cruisers to crystalline dreadnoughts. The sky above Earth shimmered with unity. Even rebel Voskari commanders had switched sides, finally seeing the Empire's rot. Kale stepped onto the command bridge of the TWS Revenant, Earth's last super. Ray, Tai, and Ebo stood beside him. Siren's voice came over. Comes Dreadfire fleet has begun final orbital alignment. 5 minutes until planetary bombardment begins. Kale stared into the void. Began counter-command. All units. Attack. Pattern burnstorm. The stars exploded. Thousands of Terran and alien ships surged into the red wall of Voskari death. Lasers, plasma, kinetic slugs all fired at once. The void lit with war. The last war on board the enemy flagship. General Tavka watched with contempt. They dare resist again. So be it. He activated a weapon no one had ever seen, a planet killer cannon, designed to crack Earth's crust in one shot. End them. But Earth wasn't finished yet. The TWS Revenant released its final weapon, the Helios core, now upgraded and fitted with precursor tech, recovered from Ari's forge. Siren warned, firing this weapon may tear space. It is not stable. Kale looked at the screen. Earth's surface flickered in the reflection of orbital fire. We were never stable. Fire it. The Helios core unleashed a beam of golden light. It didn't just strike the Voskari ships, it ripped space, pulling a third of the fleet into a sudden black hole. The scream of their engines echoed. Through comes the Dreadfire armada, broke apart. But the flagship remained, and Tavka was still alive. He activated a final command, Kill Command, Omega. It would detonate their own warships, all of them, in suicide blasts that would erase the solar system. If we cannot rule it, we will burn it. But before he could confirm the order, a ship cloaked in shadow arrived beside his. It was our Ren. Her forge had not destroyed her, it had changed her. Her vessel looked like a hybrid of all things Terran, Voskari, and ancient precursor tech. And behind her, thousands of hybrid warships, but they didn't fire. They stood still. Ari opened a channel. This ends now, Tavka snarled. You think you can stop me, abomination? Ari didn't reply. She simply raised her hand and the hybrids moved, but not against Earth, against the Voskari. The battle turned in seconds. Hybrid ships pierced the core of Voskari vessels. They used code the Voskari never expected, turning systems against each other. Ships crashed into each other in chaos. Tavka tried to escape, but Ari was faster. Her ship cut into his like a blade. Kale and the fleet watched as the enemy flagship exploded in silence. The Voskari were finished. After hours of burning sky and shattered steel, the silence that followed felt unreal. Then cheers From every command deck, every rebel world, every liberated moon, the Empire had fallen. Back on Earth, Kale stood in the ruins of the old bunker. The war was over, but his eyes looked tired. "We won," Ray said. Kale looked up at the stars. "No, we survived. Now we have to build something better." Zarin, Ari's son, ran up to them. He held a small glowing cube, the last gift from his mother. She had disappeared after the final strike. No one knew if she lived, but she had made her choice. Kale looked down at the boy. "You're free now. What do we do?" Zarin asked. Kale smiled gently. "We teach the galaxy what it means to be human." Weeks later, the Galactic Accord was reformed, not under the Viscari, but under Earth and its new allies. Freedom was declared across 300 systems. Slavery was outlawed. Hybrid children were given care, not fear. Earth, once called weak, now led the stars. And in a quiet corner of space, Ari Wren watched from a hidden planet. Her body was still broken, her mind still scarred, but her voice was steady. "They don't need gods," she